Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. The bull run hasn't even started yet, so don't get shaken out. This coming from Cyclop here on Twitter. In 2016, BTC had a 30% plus correction post-halving. In 2020, BTC had a 20 plus correction post-halving. Alts went parabolic a few months later. And so why would this time be any different, guys? He even posts the amount of days that it took after the halving until we saw the all-time high. And take a look at that. You guys are seeing a trend here, 546 days back in 2016 to 2018, the beginning of 2018. Same thing happened in 2020, 2021. And also what he is presuming is that we are going to see the same kind of trend here. And for those of you guys taking a look at the Bitcoin chart here, let me throw this on the daily for you guys. The halving happened at the end of April. So in and around here. And basically, we are only 54 days in, so we've still got quite a lot of time before we see that new all-time high. Now, here is where he's confident due to what's happening in the market right now. Many might think that this is the end of the growth, but in reality, we haven't even approached its beginning yet. And if we dig a little deeper, it will become obvious why this is happening. Guys, a lot of cryptocurrencies have been retracing at this moment, but the alt season is still far away. He lists some reasons down here why altcoins is still far away, reasons for such disbelief from many, and when the alt bull run will start. So let's start with indicators that will show you why alt bull run is far away. So YT metrics are almost 5x lower compared to the last cycle. These are some of the largest YouTube crypto channels, and even just taking a look at some of the metrics here in terms of views, even when Bitcoin was at $70,000 back in 2021, we saw roughly 4 million views per day. 4 million views per day for some of these larger channels. Now with Bitcoin at 70,000, we only have about 800,000 views per day. So that means that retail investors are not even in the game yet. That speaks volumes, because generally what we see is everybody and their grandmother into cryptocurrency. I've even noticed it on this channel. We are at all-time highs for all these different cryptocurrencies, and yet nobody is excited yet. So also the highest dilution ever in May. Close to 1 million tokens were launched. This is despite the fact that Solana is not accounted for in the chart. This is 2 times bigger than the amount of all created tokens on Ethereum. Trading volume is currently way lower than it was in 2021, despite Bitcoin's price being higher. So that's another metric that we should be paying attention to. There's no retail involvement, no one getting liquidated on shorts, and not enough zero IQ gamblers, not yet. Since Bitcoin started its confident rise from $27,000 in October, alts haven't had any strong parabolic moves. So we haven't really seen that type of altcoin rally as of yet. Here, let me bring up the total to market, and just to show you guys, the alts have just been kind of meandering up by and large with the rest of the crypto space. So the dominance for Bitcoin, actually probably a better metric to look at is dominance here. For Bitcoin, 54.1 as of the time of this recording, and even if we just go to BTC.D, you guys can see dominance is still fairly high. We have not seen a meteoric plunge for Bitcoin dominance as we have in during other altcoin rallies, when altcoins really took up the lion's share. This is when we know we are in a full-blown altcoin rally, and when we are very, very close to the top of the market. So we haven't seen that, okay? Overabundance of tokens unlocked. Right now, there are about 50 million unlocked daily. And this is only the major projects. Overall, there are close to 200 million unlocks per day. The more tokens launch equals the more unlocks flood the market. The BTC growth compared to the growth of altcoins is much higher too. Currently, Bitcoin is around about 10% from its all-time high, while alts are roughly 80% away. So that does not show any kind of strength, any kind of top to the market. Also from the lows, Bitcoin has seen a 400% growth, whereas altcoins have grown about 180%. So alts are pretty much underperforming. Here's also another key indicator with a perfect track record for spotting the peak of a major crypto bull run. When Coinbase becomes the top app download, this is an interesting one. This has been true historically and will likely repeat itself. It signals that it is time to exit. So where do we find that that Coinbase is one of the top apps to download? It must say in your phone here. I'm just going to look real fast here. I don't want to waste too much time doing this, but I guess if I go here, I should be showing my phone, but I'm not recording this. I'm just going to go through. I'm just telling you guys what I'm doing. If I click on apps, does that do anything here? Finance, probably. And you can probably see the top apps here for finance. Yeah, okay, so it does show you a list of the top apps if you guys go to your iPhone, if you are on iPhone. But, this is just going to be another metric where we do see everybody and their grandma getting interested in crypto. Therefore, we will see this correlate to app downloads too. He goes on to say, after the collapse of FTX, only 8 coins, not including Bitcoin, have actually broken their all-time high. So these tokens include Render, TRB, INJ, ASTR, SSV, IGIX, and TWT. And there's more here to the list. Oh, and BNB coin too. So that shows us too that we are still very early on. Number 9 here, he says, looking at Google Trends for searches of Bitcoin, altcoins, and crypto in general, we are still far from what we saw back in 2021. Setting the global evaluation and analysis for the past 5 years, we see that we are 2.5 times lower than in 2021. So another great metric here. Considering all the data above, it is obvious that altcoins have significantly underperformed in this cycle compared to Bitcoin, and there is still a lot of room to go. Now we need to understand why people are so divided into disbelievers and believers. The following factors primarily influence this, so I'm just going to breeze through this, guys, real quickly here. So you can see before we had, kind of a structure, Bitcoin pump, then Ethereum, then mid-caps, then meme coins. Now we have Bitcoin, meme coins, and then what's the next going to be? This is, a bit of a shakeup here. Ethereum and Bitcoin have been remarkably weak. Historically, they have benefited from a risk-on environment, but in this cycle, it doesn't work that way. Meme coins have been consistently leading for too long. Rotating from this sector has been costly, mainly because meme coins' growth historically was a sign of a late bull run stage, and now that is shifted, okay? So also no Bitcoin corrections. Bitcoin hasn't shown us the usual 30 to 40% correction that we have seen in the past. Just bringing up the Bitcoin chart, showing you guys what we have seen historically. We have seen these huge corrections, and generally when we get very, very close to the top here, as you guys can see, from January 2021, we were pretty close. At that point, we were seeing 30%. So, we have seen, this one was technically about 30, was it not? No, not even 23%. So we still haven't seen those large corrections, and that is generally a good indication of when we are very, very close to the top. There are a few other factors here, but I do think this is a really, really great thread that is very long and detailed. So I think I've already spent quite a bit of time on this, but I do want you guys to read this and to consider this. These are all things that I'm going to be considering as well when deciding to cash out of my altcoins during this bull run. You guys can find out what I'm doing at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel if you're interested. I'm taking everything into consideration this time. This bull run is looking different from former bull runs, but I still do think we can glean some information from previous bull runs and kind of adjust accordingly. I also wanted to bring this up from Key Young Jew. Okay, we're entering early alt season. He thinks Ethereum NVRV is rising faster than Bitcoin's, suggesting that the Ethereum market is heating up relative to on-chain analytics. And generally what we see is when Ethereum does heat up, we do see the rest of the altcoin market move along with it. At this moment, you guys can see fear and greed is at 52. We are seeing a bit of life being pumped into the market as of the time of this recording. Bitcoin is now back above $66,000 in and around 66.3. So that is up in the last 24 hours, 1.55%. Ethereum is up 1.9, which is positive. BNB coin also up. Solana is up. XRP is up about 1.5%. roughly, bringing us back to that 50-cent level. So psychologically, guys, XRP back up above 50 cents. I think people in the XRP community will be happy about that. Next stop, 589. I'm hoping so. 49.9 technically as of the time of this recording. So still maintaining that level, but really, guys, it's all going to be a process. There is still time here to accumulate some of those low-flying altcoins. We've also got the MiCA regulation and general stablecoin regulation, not just in the EU, but this will eventually get rolled out. I think by the end of 2024 and into 2025, XRP drops. This was a tweet from Jeremy Allaire. So he's saying here, I'm more bullish than I've ever been about cryptocurrency. And it is because of altcoins, okay? Considering this, okay? Think about this for a second. We've got stablecoins coming into their own. So what is that going to mean for the entire crypto industry, considering everybody who has traded cryptocurrency up until this point has been using altcoins in some way, shape, or form? Now governments are realizing their importance, so they are regulating them, guys. This means a new frontier for crypto trading, something that is brand new for all of us, something that none of us have experienced yet. I've been building Circle, he says, for over 11 years, and at no time have I been more optimistic than right now. I also believe that the overwhelming majority of people have an extremely narrow and limited understanding of what's unfolding, and that is also super bullish. So, if we can get in, in the early stages, I'm not going to go over this entire tweet. It is quite a long, lengthy tweet, but I will link it in the description of the video for you. But if we can get our heads around this for a second, okay, thinking to ourselves, how much opportunity is here right now? How much opportunity is there to purchase, get into some of these positions at such a low cost compared to, when we're going to see the top of this market again. Let me remind you how far we are away technically, going back to this Cyclop tweet here. All-time high has been 546 days post-halving, generally speaking, roughly, give or take. We have kind of pinpointed this to, kind of later into 2025. But this is very bullish for so many reasons. So great news here. Wanted to thank XRP Drops. He also just highlighted something that Jeremy Allaire said. Stablecoins are becoming a legally defined and accepted form of digital money in nearly every major jurisdiction in the world. By the end of 2025, stablecoins will be legal electronic money almost everywhere, which sets them up to become a larger and larger portion of the $100+ trillion market for electronic money. So think of that for a second, okay? Also, the next digital currency needs to be more broad and easily convertible. Guys, this is the narrative now. This is what the important people in the room are talking about. We cannot have the same types of currencies that we've had in the past. Because of the new technology, all things are going to change. This one courtesy of Wheezy at Nerd Nation Unboxed. Listen to this.
There's already a fund where any country that's holding dollar-denominated assets can just deposit them into the IMF. And then the IMF can convert them into SDRs, and then you can convert the SDRs into yuan or any other currency. So, this is it. We are at the end now, whether or not China and Russia is going to be the next world reserve currency, the yuan or the ruble. That is, in my opinion, doubtful. I think it's more going to be the SDR because it just makes a whole lot more sense to me.
But we've also got the BRICS coming together with their different reserve currency backed by commodities, a collective reserve currency from all of these countries together backed by commodities, including gold, including oil. Do you not think that that is the more likely replacement here?
I really don't. Because I don't think it's broad enough when we get into this digital currency system. I think that they still need one that is more broad. And since you're talking about a basket currency that's backed by commodities. First of all, in order for them...
That could be a digital version of that as well. A digital...
Absolutely. But it has to be easily convertible. And I don't know that would be globally easily convertible, like the SDR would be more easily convertible. And the weighting of those BRICS currencies can be much bigger inside of the SDR. All right. But then you'll have the global currency and you'll have the local currency. And that's what the dollar is going to end up being, is just a local currency.
So you got to think about that convertibility. And guys, what is going to be that bridge asset to convert these currencies? Obviously, we're going to need the King XRP in order for that to happen. So wanted to thank Wheezy for posting that. Also, this from Michael Branch. Ripple's top lawyer has questions after the SEC's U-turn. So yesterday we did talk a little bit about the verdict there. Ethereum and Consensus no longer being sued by the SEC. So Stuart Alvarado, Ripple's top legal mind, had some questions left after the SEC unexpectedly dropped its investigation against Ethereum. Here's what he said: a big win for Consensus. So, no questions that this is good for crypto, though questions do remain. Does this mean the SEC thinks Consensus offers and sales of Ethereum are not securities transactions, and or that Ethereum itself is not a security? What will Gensler say if now asked? What is the status of MetaMask and staking? So those are some great questions. This is no way for a government to regulate, although, Stuart, we are seeing it before our eyes. Neil Hartner here saying, the plan, you're going to say you're investigating us, and then shortly later, send us a letter saying that you closed the investigation so we can make it public and advertise it on social media. A lot of people thinking that this is just kind of smoke and mirrors, that it's a stage, that this is all just bread and circus, all just a distraction technique to move us away from really what is happening when it comes to regulating. Now, Joseph Lubin here did comment a little bit, did mention John Deaton in this clip, another one courtesy of Wheezy here. Listen to this.
As you're aware, Elizabeth Warren has been placing people in positions of power in the current administration. John Deaton, is now going up against Elizabeth Warren. He referenced on, I think it was Fox Business a few days ago, that there's an entity called the Bank Policy Institute that I don't really know much about, but apparently they're a banking industry think tank. So all he did was reference that. And so I started paying a little attention to them on the internet. And there is a coordinated effort involving Elizabeth Warren and those banks that she used to attack quite strongly to make sure, again, the banks can continue to operate business as usual and the U.S. government can continue to operate.
The conversation diverted towards Elizabeth Warren, which, I mean, it makes sense. Our common enemy here trying to almost kind of distract us from what really happened. Although people on X are noticing it. Why is it that Ripple had to go through court and Ethereum did not? So, that is interesting. Eleanor Turret here also reached out apparently to Consensus founder Ethereum Joseph, or the guy who you just saw in that clip, for comment on the SEC dropping its investigation into Ethereum and what it means for their lawsuit against the agency. He told me that the company still plans to move forward with it, though. Here's a quote. The SEC's decision to close its 14-month investigation into Ethereum is a welcome development. It's necessary but not sufficient. There has to be a better way to regulate the market than through ambush. We are hopeful that the antagonism to crypto among some U.S. regulators is starting to wane, and that the national investor protection strategy will evolve from the current guerrilla tactics. Until then, we soldier forth with our investigation against the SEC in Texas because we are intent on achieving more legal clarity for all. Mark Fagel did ask down here, did he address whether the SEC is still pursuing the case through its Wells notice, the company and or staking or MetaMask? I assume so, as Consensus didn't say otherwise. And their legally dubious Texas lawsuit would essentially be moot if that investigation were also closed. So Eleanor Turret just retweeting the original Consensus tweet here that the fight does continue. Meta Lawman here also saying, this is why I call her the indispensable Eleanor Turret. She does the old-fashioned legwork and makes for good reporting. So thank you so much to Eleanor Turret for posting that. Fred Rispoli also commenting on this. Folks, 6 days ago, under oath, Gary Gensler and the SEC refused to answer to Congress if Ethereum and the Ethereum network were securities. And some now think a one-paragraph letter puts everything in the clear. Celebrate the win, but do not take your foot off the effing gas pedal. We're still doing this, guys. We are still not in the clear, not yet. Moon Lambo here commenting, no kidding. Some people are now speculating that the SEC will drop the Ripple lawsuit. I don't even know if that's even technically possible since I'm not a lawyer and Torres already ruled last summer. Which brings me to this, guys, and this is going to make sense in a few seconds. Ripples in Wales posted this. 1 and 2 were given. 1 equals Bitcoin, 2 equals Ethereum. And the given, guys, was that the free pass that we just saw? Remember this from the Lodestar 3 riddle? There is a test. 1 and 2, the top 2, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they were given the free pass essentially, and Ripple and XRP were the number 3 that we had to work for at 3 is a quest. This all coming, as you did probably acknowledge this tweet here from Moon Lambo, the fact that the SEC did just confirm, or at least this was the legal opinion, that they will not pursue an appeal. Listen to this.
I'll say on the Ripple appeal point, I'll be curious to see whether the parties appeal there. I think there's some speculation that because Judge Rakoff and the Terra opinion explicitly disagreed with Judge Torres's logic from the Ripple opinion, and then Coinbase doesn't really address the Ripple opinion as much, but almost, pretty explicitly adopts the Terra logic. I think there's some speculation that the SEC might just let the Ripple opinion stay there as a district court opinion and not risk, elevating it to a circuit level where they could potentially elicit bad law when they have otherwise favorable rulings in the aftermath of the Ripple litigation. So it'll be interesting to watch after the remedies phase concludes whether either party.
This was a clip from 2 weeks ago, guys. We know how these speculations have gone in the past. So Wheezy does think that that this person here, Christina Littman, of the SEC does know more about what is going on here. So for some context, Wheezy does post the clip from directly before the answer. Here's a better context of the Lippman clip. Michael Dyke, or Dick of Fenwick and West, says he believes both parties will appeal the ruling, but then Christina Littman of the SEC decided to make this point. As you guys did just hear that, I'm going to play you guys the clip that occurred just before, just for some more context. Listen to this.
And then their argument that disgorgement isn't warranted because, in fact, nobody lost any money on these particular purchases of XRP. Following, whenever that ruling happens, probably this summer, it's expected that both sides will cross appeal for the items that they lost. And so everybody will once again still be talking about Ripple at our next conference because it will be at the Second Circuit. Maybe we'll have a decision by then, but we'll still be talking about it.
Thanks, Mike. I'll say on the Ripple appeal point.
So there could not be an appeal, which means this summer is looking very positive for the Ripple case, positive for XRP, positive for this altcoin rally. But that's just my opinion. I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.